Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I'm Sean.
And I'm Chad.
And there's a lot going on into the news right now. So, Chad, what we got going on?
Yeah, a lot of critical infrastructure. So let's jump into like the Seattle Tacoma airport.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was like last week.
Yeah, so I think they've been down. I think that maybe started Friday night.
Okay.
And it's impacting like check-ins, screens, baggage, and still no time to resolution. So they're not really sure what the cause of it is yet, but they're still working through it. It's still down. So
yeah, that's crazy. There's and some of the other articles that we're going to talk about today. I haven't seen a source of this one yet. So oftentimes I'll get people reach out to me and they'll say, "Hey, who's taking credit for that attack?" They don't always come right out and somebody immediately claims credit for some of these attacks. So I don't know who's behind this one. We do know that there's a 99.9% chance that it's a nation state. But a week of being down at an airport in a major hub is not good.
Yeah, that's a big Delta and Alaska Airlines hub. So this is two pretty major impactful things to Delta in like the last 30 days. The CrowdStrike thing was pretty impactful, and now
Yeah, definitely not good.
So I think this does a really good job kind of like illustrating like the supply chains and how one company relies on another company, right? So Alaska Airlines is down, Delta's down. It's really the airport services that are impacted by this, right? That both of those airlines are really reliant on. So just really interesting, I think, how we kind of see these impacts like cascade through companies.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that disturbs me the most is when I look at some of these breaches and how long they're down. That really gives me an indication, one, that possibly, I don't throw stones in glass houses, right?
Right.
Nobody's perfect, but this kind of gives me an indication that maybe we haven't looked at the incident response plan lately, or maybe we don't have a good one.
Right.
Your disaster recovery. So, we weren't prepared to be down for a long period of time. So I'll just say that it still surprises me a bit that companies don't put more emphasis into planning and practicing these drills.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a really good indication of just not reviewing those, right? Not really being sharp on those. So really important to do that. I mean, don't wait for an emergency to prepare your emergency plans. So
agreed. All right, what do we got? Halliburton next, or what are we going to talk about?
Jump into the Halton Oil thing.
Yeah, so Halliburton, we talked about this a little bit on the weekly cyber update. So Halliburton is alerting some of their oil clients that there has been some activity due to a cybersecurity breach. Of course, everybody remembers the Colonial Pipeline incident back in 2021, 2022. I don't think we're at that quite a level here, but if you're looking like at some of the articles that we're going through here, I think one of the most common things here is critical infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been in the news a lot lately. It's really the soft underbelly, right? I mean, it's an old infrastructure, right? And I was actually looking through the national cyber strategy, and pillar number 1 is defend critical infrastructure, right? So when you think of critical infrastructure, I mean, a lot of people think water, electricity, but there's other systems,
There's 16.
Transport. Yeah. So
there's 16 critical controls or critical infrastructure sectors that fall under CISA's purview. Yep.
Yeah, and we were kind of having a discussion about that just kind of in the hallway about your water gets turned off. Like, people don't associate that necessarily with a cyber attack, right? But we're getting to the point now where a cyber attack could cause the water to shut off or the electricity to be shut off for an extended period of time, right? And well, how are people prepared for that? Not only in their businesses, but in their personal lives and things like that.
Sure.
So.
No, absolutely. And also look at, we're coming off the heels of the CrowdStrike incident, right? So just in the airline sector alone, in a very short amount of time, one, we've had the huge disruption that was more global with CrowdStrike. And now, we're looking at CTAC right now. So, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I tell people over and over again, as the United States gets involved in, for good or for bad, whether you like it or not, when we get involved in conflicts outside of the U.S., you can kick a bee's nest a little bit. So if there's any other undertone that I see here is that the Iranians are very active.
Yeah, and they have been very active for a while, I think, just kind of probing the critical infrastructure to see kind of what's out there and what they could get access to.
Absolutely.
So there was another one, the Inland Empire. I don't know if you know where Inland Empire is. It's actually just east of L.A., it's a county. So their water district was, hacked.
You all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I didn't take allergy medicine today, man. One day, and it gets me. So, but Inland Empire, the water district was attacked. Really just kind of took down their phone payment system. And so they're still trying to work through that. But that's I would say that's an insignificant part of the water development process. But still, I mean, just people out there probing, different parts of the infrastructure to see what's accessible. Yeah,
the thing I would add to that is, even though that was like you say, that was kind of a more insignificant, attack. I mean, certainly the payment system is significant, but really highlights the need for operators to separate their infrastructure correctly. So making sure that things like the payment system or just the administrative network of the water plant is completely separate. Because what we don't want is somebody to come in through the payment system, right, and then work their way into a control system.
Right. Next thing you know, they're toggling HMI control. So
that's changing chemicals and.
But that's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
No, it's not.
We see that a lot. I mean, flat networks that are just kind of critical infrastructure hanging off of a corporate business network.
Yeah,
so
it's common.
Really understanding what you got is important.
Absolutely. What else you got?
Well, you had a good one about the robot vacuums.
So apparently hacker groups are taking advantage of some of these robot vacuums to spy on owners. So using, microphone and camera, a lot of these systems have different capabilities as far as moving around and detection capabilities. It's an Internet of Things conversation, right? Whether it's an EcoVac.
I think the same thing happened with Roomba, maybe
I think
a couple years ago with like the pictures getting uploaded and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, man, we've seen those baby monitors. I mean, repeatedly, those baby monitors getting compromised and hackers like talking to your children.
Right. So, I mean, just to piggyback on the IoT stuff, right? Like just about anything in your house that's connected to your internet isn't really designed to be secure, right? So, I mean, your home security systems, your Wi-Fi cameras that are outside your garage, things like that aren't necessarily difficult to get into if you don't have a password or you have a weak password or, and that's just home stuff. So,
right. No, yeah, you're completely right. I think a lot of people are not realizing that, even your hot tub, all the things that get connected. I think it was now like the average is like 12 devices per person on average, right, is what you could have access to at a home. I don't think a lot of people go through the right protection systems at their home or designs to segment their home, to put their Internet of Things stuff off to the side. So, there's a lot to learn about. Just think about how many people have home automation systems too, right?
I mean, a ton.
Unlocking your doors, turning lights on and off.
Right. I mean, like the keyless entries, right? I mean, you can just have kind of like getting into our office, right? It's a biometric, but there's apps for that and things like that. So, I actually just bought a washer and dryer this week, and I'm like looking at different models and things like that.
Did you hook it to your Wi-Fi? You haven't bought it yet?
No, I did buy it. And I asked Nicole, I'm like, hey, do we need a Wi-Fi connected dryer? And she's like, for what? I'm like, yeah, exactly. So let's, but to your point, I mean, I think I have about 70, 80 devices in my house that are just connected, just hanging there. So
absolutely.
So.
All right. I think one of the other articles we were looking at, speaking of the Iranians, was that there was an article about them targeting WhatsApp accounts. And, we've spoken a little bit on CS Cyber about the election stuff that's coming.
Right. So, both Biden and Trump staffers were targeted by Iranian, APT hackers. So APT 42, really posing as like tech support for Microsoft and Google. And I think Yahoo is one of them. I think it's something we're going to see a lot more of, as we get closer to the election and even after. I mean, I think, the Iranians are here to stay, and they're going to meddle in whatever they can. So
yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think we talked about it the last time too, about just some basic controls, right? From what I was reading, these are situations where things like multi-factor are not being utilized correctly. Right. So these are kind of account takeover type things where somebody's being socially engineered, and then they're getting access. So
right. I think in this instance, though, I was reading like Meta actually helped block and kind of diffuse that. So I think hopefully in the future we see more companies like stepping out to just kind of secure by design and things like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
I think the last article I was going back and forth on whether we would include this because this was kind of a last minute ad, but Patelco out on the West Coast is a very large credit union. They were compromised back in May, June, and had indicated that they had an incident. And now the forensics is over, and they're releasing that 726,000 people are impacted.
That's a lot of people.
It is. And, we were looking at the National Public Data incident from last week. Lots of people are getting notifications that their data has been involved in that particular one. And it was an interesting story, too, because I was talking to our CFO, Judy, and she was impacted by that. And she's furious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was like, I'm mad. And I'm like, who are you mad at? She's like, well, I'm mad at the company that didn't protect my data. And I tell you what, and maybe we can talk about it on the next episode, but if you're not following the city of Columbus cyber attack and what NBC4 in Columbus is doing, they have an investigative reporter that is literally downloading and exposing every single not exposing it in a bad way, but just kind of letting people know an awareness of the amount of data and the type of data that has been disclosed to the dark web.
Wow.
And is freely available, and it is absolutely terrifying data.
Yeah, we should definitely do an update on Columbus.
Yeah, for sure. So. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today, and so we'll talk to you next week. And thanks for watching.
Thanks.